guys, welcome back to Pondering in the Pines. Today we're going to be delving more into spring foraging, and right now my kitchen smells delightfully of lilac. So yet another one of my easy spring foragings, and this is probably one of the easier recipes that I have as well. Today we're going to be focusing on Lilac Simple Syrup. So this is actually a delightful recipe. It's great in lemonade. I do for myself a full squeezed lemon, maybe about 1/8 cup of Lilac Simple Syrup, and 3/4 cup of sparkling water with ice. It's a fantastic summery treat, but this is also good on ice cream, other confections and desserts, and super tasty, guys. So, as one little precaution, if you're not used to wild foraging, for any new plant that you're using, you do want to take some precautions. And for lilac in particular, these are oftentimes treated with pesticides or herbicides, mainly pesticides to prevent down bugs. So you do want to make sure that wherever you're harvesting your lilacs is 100% assured to be pesticide-free and organic. Or if you have them in your own backyard, that's probably the safest way to go. Another little precaution, all of us have different digestive tracts, and lilac in particular can cause a little bit of interesting reaction. Now, in large amounts, lilac is going to be a stool softener, so you do want to make sure that for any new plant that you're ingesting, even if you know that it's an edible plant, small portions at first until you know how your body's going to react. And in big portions, lilac contains lactase, which does act as a stool softener and can make it a little bit of a necessity to go to the bathroom if you're going to consume large amounts of this. That being said, I don't know why you would consume large amounts of this. It's really just a summery treat, guys. So, let's get started. So, first thing you're going to do is we got to get all these petals off of our main stem. So after you've cut down the lilac blossoms you're going to be working with, we're just going to start plucking the petals and getting them individualized. Now this is a time-consuming process, so if you have little ones, maybe consider them enlisting them as your help to remove these petals from their stems. Or if you have friends that are into wild foraging, you can enlist their help under the guise of teaching them a new skill. But let's see if we can zoom in and show you this a little bit, guys. They are a little bit challenging to take off. So part of them is attached at the base here with these little stamens and stems. And anything that's green, anything that's not going to be lilac petal, will give your syrup a bitter flavor. So you do want to make sure that you're holding on to these. And they often grow in clusters of 3, which does make it a little bit easier to separate. But you're just going to pinch those and remove the petals, making sure that all that green stuff stays behind. So like I said, this is a bit of a time-consuming process, and we're going to do actually a moderately sized batch today, because not only do I like this, but it makes a great gift for friends, especially anyone you're trying to get more interested in naturopathic medicine or just spring foraging, because it's always fun to have companions to go out to the woods with you and collecting these spring beauties, these tasty little natural delicacies. But we've done a fair bit of flower plucking before we got started with our video. So once you have about 1.5 cups for a home batch of petals, you're pretty much good to go, because this recipe is going to be very straightforward. We're using 1 cup of water, 1 cup of sugar. That's going to be our simple syrup base. So equal parts sugar and water. Now if you're averse to using sugar, you can use honey. You could use agave nectar. I wouldn't really recommend using heavier syrups or darker sugars, because that is going to change the flavor profile of your lilac simple syrup. And really we want that delicate floral flavor to kind of shine through. So for our intents and purposes, to get as much of that lilac flavor profile as possible, we're using organic cane sugar. And honey does have a nice flavor blend with the lilacs as well, but I find the honey to overwhelm the lilac flavor just a little bit. So yeah, a cup of water, a cup of sugar, and about a cup and a half of lilac petals. And you can go overboard, absolutely. I wouldn't go more than 2 cups of lilac petals because you do want that mixture to remain balanced. And yeah, once you have your petals harvested, we can get started on our simple syrup. Alright, so for the simple syrup, I'm going to turn on our saucepan on high. Now water goes in, the organic sugar goes in, and we're just going to stir that to get it to incorporate fully into our mixture. Alright, so our simple syrup mixture is just starting to simmer. So we're going to go ahead and take our lightly pressed, very lightly, you don't want to squish these petals down too much, but lightly pressed, just a little more than 1.5 cups of our lilac petals. That's going to be going into our boiling simple syrup mixture. And this is just going to get a nice stir to incorporate those petals. Now, this is kind of where the beginning of the magic happens. And again, you really do want to make sure that any petals that you're using in your lilac syrup have had that green stem fully removed. You don't want any of this green leaves. You don't want any of the stem material to be in your syrup. That's really going to create bitter flavors in your syrup that kind of make it less than delightful. So once our flower petals are in, we're just going to let that have a rolling boil for about 2 minutes or so. Now, if you're under time constraints, you're trying to whip this up for a dinner party or on a very short time notice, you can actually reduce this to a simmer and simmer it for 5 or 6 minutes. And that'll speed up the process of infusing the flavor of the lilacs into our syrup. But if you have time, the far better method is actually to let time take its course. So for us, that means we're just going to shut down our heat, and this is going to steep for about 4 to 5 hours. We're just going to let this infuse. If you have a lid, go ahead and pop your lid over it. You can cover this with cheesecloth. You just want to make sure that there's not going to be bugs and debris, dust settling into your syrup while it's infusing. But check back in just a little bit. Alright, so our mixture's been steeping here for a little while. Now, there's a little bit of bubbling happening because we just brought that back up to a temperature that makes our mixture sterile again because it has been sitting out. And even though we cover with cheesecloth, we just want to make sure that it stays good in the fridge for as long as possible. Now, if you're just leaving it as a syrup once it's strained out, this will keep in your fridge for about 2 weeks or so. Although in my house, it will very likely be gone before 2 weeks is up, as it is just that tasty. If you're going to make big batches of it and you want to save it and prolong its life for deeper into the summer months, go ahead and add about an ounce of grain alcohol. So like Everclear or vodka would work, but something that's more than 70%, at very least 50% alcohol by volume, and that'll extend the shelf life of this product for about a month or so. So for the next step, we're just going to be straining this out, and you'll notice that our liquid has kind of a grayish blue color. Now that'll get a little bit more lively lilac purple once you add it to things that have citric acid, so a little bit of kitchen chemistry here. And brighten those colors up with a little bit of lemon juice or lemonade, or lime juice actually is quite delightful as well. And then you can just let this drip naturally. I like to speed the process up a little bit, and we press those petals into our strainer to get all that syrupy goodness out of them. Now before you bottle anything, you always do want to make sure your jars are sanitized. This has just been boiled and is actually still pretty hot to the touch. And if you were going to save these for multiple years, you would definitely want to follow standard canning protocol, which would be to boil, pasteurize, flash pasteurize these in a pot of boiling water after it's been sealed, and make sure that everything is sterile and sanitary conditions while you're doing that. Last step of this process is going to be putting our simple syrup into our jars, and that will make probably about 1.5 gallons of lilac lemonade over the next couple weeks. Well, thanks for watching, guys. As always, if you like these videos and you're ready for more nature skills, survival skills, foraging skills, and delicious garden recipes, tune in next time at Pondering on the Pines, and go ahead and give this video a like and a follow. Thanks so much. Take care.